It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday's Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. I am John Schmeelk. He is Shaun O'Hara. We're in the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. Sorry for a few minutes tardy on the start time here, but Shaun ran into some much more important people in the cafeteria than we are, so
I'll jump on that. I'll jump on that grenade. That was all me.
You also threw the grenade, I think, actually.
I think I threw it and fell on it. So my apologies. Sometimes, you get commandeered unexpectedly, and there's a totem pole in this building.
And I am not at the top of that totem pole.
I'm pretty low on it as well. But
I'm lower than you, Mr. Super Bowl champion.
When somebody up on top of the totem pole stops and sits down with you, you can't just bail.
No, that is correct.
You
So
got to do the right thing.
We did have some news this morning, and Shaun and I will talk about the game, though
Yes.
I'm not sure how much more I have to say about it because I feel like we've just watched the same game with teams in different uniforms for about 4 weeks now.
You want to keep chewing on that?
But we'll figure that out.
All right.
Let's talk about the news first. The Giants deciding this morning, and Mike Kafka, in consultation with Joe Shane and all ownership, everybody in the building, which all decisions are made here in consultation with everybody, decide to move on from Shane Bowen, defensive coordinator, and it'll be Charlie Bowen. Who has never been a coordinator before, never called plays before, has mostly been a linebackers coach in Miami, and then in Arizona under Brian Flores in Miami, and then he was under Vance Joseph in Arizona, and is the Giants' outside linebackers coach here. So he coaches the edge players, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, that group. He will end up being the play caller moving forward for the final, believe it or not, only 5 games of the regular season. I can't believe we're that far along. And still no bye week, by the way. We still have another week before we get to that. But Giants deciding to make a change here, Shaun. And look, we've been through the ins and outs and the details and all that stuff. And look, I can't find an obvious thing that it's, if you just, do this one thing differently, things will be right. Yeah, maybe some more creative blitzes, maybe some more stunts on passing down, stuff like that, sure. But the bottom line is that the results just were not there. I mean, you just go through the number of points that this Giants team has given up over the past few weeks, and this is the most basic analysis possible. But I think at some point, basic analysis is all you need. The Giants in their last 6 games, Shaun, have given up 33, 38, 34, 24, 27, and 34, and had leads in a lot of fourth quarters and continually let them slip away.
Woof. Yeah, and look, I think the fourth quarter, I think that is really why we're having this conversation right now, because there was a stretch where I think it was 5 games or 3 games they'd given up over 100 points in each of those games. And, it's not one of those games where, man, like we're trying to play catch up the entire game. These are games that we had leads in going into the fourth quarter, and we blew it. We didn't find a way to close out the game. So that is very frustrating. Obviously, look, it's always, this is the hard part of the business is when guys get fired. And while I don't think anybody is surprised by the news and what happened with Shane Bowen being let go, it's kind of ironic the reasons why he's being let go. And, I used to do a show with Brian Billick, the former head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, Super Bowl winning head coach. And he used to always have this saying that the things they hire you for are the things they fire you for. They hired Shane Bowen because he had a top 15 run defense in Tennessee and he was really good in the red zone. And those are the things that we're not very good at. So when Dable brought him in here, it was, all right, man, we're going to stop the run. We're going to be really good at that. We can't stop the run. And the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs rattled off a 69-yard run on the first play of overtime, that I think was the nail in the coffin.
And by the way, 2 other 40-plus yard runs besides that.
Yeah, 3 runs that Jahmyr Gibbs had, and one of them they had an extra offensive lineman in there. But that has happened far too often. Even before the Detroit game, we've been talking about the big runs that we have allowed
and it wasn't
defensively.
Even, and the thing about it, Shaun, it wasn't on the edge this time. They've been getting killed on the edge. These ones were right up the gut.
Yeah, and to your point, it's not one guy. Like if it was just one situation or one player or one scheme, it's a culmination of all it.
By the way, it happens against nickel defenses. It happens against the Giants' base defenses. It happens with 5-man fronts, 4-man fronts. There's not a common thread here between these run issues.
No, and to your point, like the Giants were in their base defensive personnel on that big run by Jahmyr Gibbs, not the one that he scored. It was the one that he was knocked out of bounds at like the 3-yard line. So they were in base defense in that. And then the other big runs, they were in nickel. So, why are they in nickel? And it's like, well, you're trying to match up, their personnel.
If the lines are all 3 wide receivers, you can't put a linebacker over Monroe St. Brown in the slot. That's not going to work.
And our nickel package, I feel like it's changing. When Micah McFadden went down, we still have not found a valid replacement for him. Like Darius Muasau could not do what Micah McFadden could do. And then we saw Flanagan Foles. He was in there. He went out. With a neck injury. So, we have guys that are playing that other linebacker position that really would not be starting if it had not been for multiple injuries.
Isaiah
So
Barnes,
you got that going on. I thought there were a number of times in this game against Detroit and this season where our safety insert has been really poor. And it's the angles. As they're coming down to support the run, the angles have been so poor.
And
Dane
we saw
Belton had a couple of them. Javon.
Well, Belton missed the tackle
Twice.
on the one long run, and then Holland had a bad angle on the other one.
Yeah, Holland had a bad angle, I think, on the very last that last touchdown run. He came screaming down and was out of position. Or Dane Belton did.
Actually, I think
Belton was on the one in overtime.
Holland
Javon
actually had a run blitz. He actually was run blitzing off the edge on the big one in overtime. He got picked up and then whoop, there he goes.
And the big run against the base personnel, it was actually Darius Alexander that got out of position. He had the backside B gap, and he got scooped by the backside block, and that's exactly where Jahmyr Gibbs hit it in that backside B gap. So as good of a game as Darius Alexander had with 2 sacks, that one play, the defensive tackle on the backside not staying in the B gap, ended up with a huge run. So that's why, defense, it's tough. When you look at, why is the scheme not working? Why is this not happening? As soon as one guy loses their gap integrity, boom, it's out the gate. Like the NFL, those running backs hit that hole so quick. And if they hit a hole and somebody has lost that gap, they are to the safety quicker than that safety anticipated because he thought somebody was going to be in that gap. So that's why I think we're seeing these bad angles that we're talking about, because somebody lost their gap integrity up on the front, and now all of a sudden they're hitting it before the safety was expecting them to be there.
And I talked to Newman about this. We did an interview on the John Soto podcast a couple weeks ago, and he said, look, as a safety, if you know where the guys on the first and second levels are going to be, you can fire quickly and get to the right spot.
Right.
But if you don't know if they're going to have their correct leverage, it's going to mess you up. And you have to hesitate. And then you're going to get to your spot late. And then your angle stinks. And then a guy breaks it out. And Shaun, and you're right, on the first one, first 49-yard run, I have everyone blocked, and then Holland tough angle. That was the one in base defense. Yeah. And then I'll get to the other two in a second. But I think it's something that you've seen, and I said this to Tiki on the postgame show yesterday. If you have an 8-yard run, it's the defensive lineman's fault.
Right.
If you're giving a 40 and 50-yard runs, look, is the defensive line partly responsible for that? Sure. But eventually, the guys on the second and third level, you have to keep it to a 10 or 15-yard gain here. You can't let them run for 40.
Yeah, you can minimize the damage if you come up and make it stop, make a tackle. I think that play where Javon Holland was, kind of had a bad angle. I think that was the one Okereke jumped around the block by Penei Sewell. Penei came down, and Penei just kind of threw him out of the club, and it opened up that huge void, and that's why Javon Holland was kind of sideways as he was turning. The run against when we were in base defense, we actually had 8 guys in the box. Mm-hmm. And as an offensive lineman, like one of the things we actually love, like, look, if you want to jam the box up, like, okay, you have 8 guys in the box, you got one single high safety, you got 2 corners out there. If we pop that and we're up to the safety, like it's to the house. So the 8-man front, while everybody talks about, hey man, we got to get the 8-man front on there, stop the run, we always kind of looked at it like if we could pierce that 8-man box, it's probably going to be a house call because that safety is in the middle of the field, and it's tough for him to make a tackle on an electric guy. Jahmyr Gibbs is a special running back. And look, Detroit is they're a good football team. The bottom line is
they have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense yards per game.
They're one of the best teams in the NFC. They're one of the most physical teams in the NFC. And
amazing, by the way, they'd be out of the playoffs if it started.
We led that entire game. They didn't take the lead until overtime. So you just think about that. Like how is it that a 2-9 team can look that good for 60 minutes, and then in the first 30 seconds of overtime, everything just unraveled?
Well, I won't say they look great for all of the fourth quarter. How about they look great for 50 minutes?
Well, that drive at the end of the fourth quarter, there were some penalties that helped out with that.
Well, you also had the 49-yard run earlier in the quarter too, in
Right.
the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, so they were leaky at times with that, but you felt like this is a game that we should win. Like it was in control. And
I mean, it's the same story we've said every game.
yeah, it's Bill, Ned, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. It happened in Dallas, happened in Denver. We saw it in Chicago, and here we are again against Detroit. So it's very frustrating. For Charlie Bolin, what a great opportunity. I mean, what Mike Kafka has done with this opportunity already. Look, I'm sure we'll get in the conversation about whether or not he should have taken a field goal, down a 4th and 6 on the 4th and goal from the 6. But Mike Kafka has been in unbelievable control and command as an interim head coach. I'm very impressed with his decisiveness, his poise, how he handled everything leading up to the game, even the post-game press conference, and just this offense was fun to watch. Like, I can't remember. It's been a while since, the Scadaboo and Jackson Dart take their shirt off after beating the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. And it was like, man,
plays that
football
worked.
is fun. The gadget plays were on fire. And who would have thought it was going to be Jameis Winston mossing somebody and then stumbling in the end zone and making an unbelievably athletic catch.
Dude, he could have been on the
that was
Moss
sick.
segment on that one, and then he could have been on the Angry Run segment running through the linebacker's tackle.
Yeah, that was. I mean, Kyle Brandt better have that on
crazy.
there at some point. And then how about the Eli-esque play where, the defender is on him, has him. Like, I thought it was a sack. And, it was Andrew Thomas's guy that kind of jumped on him, and then he breaks free from it, rolls to the left, and then I think it was Hodgins that he hit down the field, or not sure who
Was that
threw
Theo
that ball
maybe?
to. But
That might have been Theo.
might have been Theo. Yeah. That was a phenomenal play. But the start was exciting. It's exactly what you want when
the
you're on the
offense has
road.
been good.
4 plays and you throw a touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson, who, by the way, everybody, that trick play, toss flea flicker. Like, flea flicker, it's one of those plays where you're like, you hold your breath when you call the play because you're like, this could either be really good or really bad.
And by the way, it almost was. If Jameis doesn't evade that, I don't know how
JMS.
he saw that guy coming at him to avoid him. That was an unbelievable play by
he looked like
Jameis Winston.
Neo from The Matrix, the way he was like, he kind of dodged that guy as he was throwing it. And give credit to John Michael Schmidt
got a
because
piece of him.
he kind of rallied back. They did the fake toss to the right, and the center leaks over there so that he can kind of be there and protect Jameis just for that situation. But for Devin Singletary, he made a heck of a throw too. Everything had to work in concert.
No,
but
he did. Yeah.
The one thing that I don't know if anybody's given Wan'Dale enough credit for is he sold that play, because it's a toss, and as he was jogging in and trying to make it look like he was coming in to dig out the safety. Next time you watch that play, just watch him how he's just lollygagging, jogging. He had to sell that like, hey, it's not a pass play, and then as soon as the safety cleared him, boom, he took off.
And that safety, by the way, he wasn't
He had
even
no
thinking
clue.
that was a flea flicker.
No,
he was
he
like
had
a
no
bat
clue.
out of hell going out of that line.
They
of
cut to
scrimmage.
him on the broadcast, and they showed him on the sideline talking to the defense coordinator. He was like, I didn't know. Like, they were like, what did you see? Did you not see the receiver? And he was like, I was
I saw
coming
the running
downhill.
back."
I was going to seek and destroy. I did not see the little guy run right by me. But Wan'Dale sold it. Give him an Emmy. And then just, that's an unbelievable way to start. The energy on that sideline, on the road to score like that. It's pretty impressive what the Giants have done on opening drive touchdowns this year. And to only
7
have
of them.
2 wins to show for it is very, that's very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, going into this year, if I would have told you the offense has done what it's done, I think both of us would have thought this team was playoff bound.
Yeah, because coming into the
defense has
season,
been
we felt
terrible.
like we're gonna be a defense-driven team.
Right.
Like, our defense is gonna carry us. They're gonna be holding teams to 15 points, and can we score 20 points? That was the key. And even in the preseason, we started to think, man, this offense the production is there. I mean, we scored 30 points in Buffalo in the first preseason game, and you felt like, all right, the offense is starting to click. This could be something now. And to put up 500 yards of offense on the road against Detroit, that's pretty impressive, and with no Malik Neighbors, no Cam Scadaboo, no Jackson Dart, I got to give credit to Jameis Winston. I mean, he balled out. He had an unbelievable game. He outplayed Jared Goff in his own building.
Yeah, he did.
And Jameis Winston
Absolutely.
in the red zone, that throw to Isaiah Hodgins in the back of the end zone,
It's a great throw.
that was superb. That is clinic technique and clinic teaching tape on what you do in a red zone as a quarterback. You throw that high ball over the zone, and our guy goes up and gets it, or it's incomplete.
And
it's our ball or nobody's ball.
And he tried to do that to Theo Johnson later in the game, but Rocky Sin, I think it was Rocky Sin, just got his hand up there and knocked it away before it could get to Theo.
Yeah, that would have been a sick catch by Theo. You know, he had a couple of great catches too. He had another sideline catch where he got his feet down.
Great catch.
Phenomenal. He's definitely coming to his own. He's having a career high season. Obviously, he's got 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then look, the run game, what I give credit for Mike Kafka too.
He sticks with it.
He was patient because early on it was like run first down, run second down,
By the way,
third and 9. Like we got 1 yard on 2 run
straight
plays.
games where in the first half the running game was just awful.
No movement, didn't get anywhere, and then all of a sudden, second half, hey man, all of a sudden Singletary pops one. All right, all of a sudden Tracy gets a 9-yard run.
A lot of pullers.
You could see him. We're kind of starting to wear him down a little bit. So I give credit for that. I think what is kind of inverse, what you normally think is you run to set up the pass. I feel like Kafka has been passing, which is setting up the run.
Well, he is from the Andy Reid school.
Yes, so it's working. And in the second half, some of those runs they were starting to hum and they were starting to get teeth.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I thought the line did a pretty good job protecting against what's a pretty good Lions pass rush. They had some pressure here or there. I actually thought Andrew Thomas had some trouble with Al-Qadim Muhammad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, which was ironic because I feel like Aiden was on Illuminor. Hutchinson was on Illuminor most of the time. And this was, look, Illuminor.
I'm sure that was by design, by the way.
I think Illuminor gave up more pressures in this game than he'd given up in a game all season long, pass protection-wise. But given who he was going against, they didn't have a sack until the final play.
And it wasn't a lot
overtime.
of quick pressures though. They made him work.
Yeah, they were kind of late, like
Mm-hmm.
in the pocket things. I thought the offensive line played really well. Greg Van Roten had a phenomenal game. I thought JMS played really well too.
I thought GVR as a puller was great in this game. They used him a lot on those pulls on those runs. I thought he was great as a puller. And Bellinger, by the way, as a fullback.
Yeah,
he played fullback more than he played tight end in that game. I feel like.
Yeah. I thought Belly did a great job. There were we ran a lot of weak counter plays.
Yep.
There was even a couple of plays where we pulled the guard and the tackle. Andrew Thomas was getting involved in that. So
a little counter trace stuff, right?
It definitely looked like there was some different scheme with the run game as well, which I liked. It wasn't just the same, hey, running backs to your left, it's a 3 wide run play out of shotgun where the running lanes just shrink and seem to collapse right away.
All right, 2 things before we get to the calls here, Sean. 1, the offense was great. Jameis was awesome. They only scored 7 points in the second half of this game, and that's the problem. They had over 250 yards of offense in the second half. Should have been 10. They only had 7 points. Well, let's have that discussion,
right?
Then, because this is another week where in the red zone the Giants have not been as good as they need to be. Okay, I would have liked after it was first and goal at the 4, you get 2 yards on first down. I would have ran it again.
Yeah,
and I'm talking to Mr. Run the ball in the red zone guy over here, so I'm
You're
sure
talking
you'll
about
agree with me.
He threw it on second down.
They did the plashers. By the way, if Theo Johnson doesn't kind of stumble out of his break a little bit, that's probably a pass that's on the mark for a score. And ironically, on the Giants' last drive in overtime, Jameis overthrew Wandell a little bit on that little pass going towards the sideline.
That was his one miss, really.
Wandell had to, at the top of his route, avoid Hodgins, I think it was, coming on the post. And it made him hesitate just a little bit out of his break. And I bet you if he doesn't have to hesitate there, that pass might actually be on the money. Anyway, back to the red zone thing. Then Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if they talked about this on the TV broadcast. I was listening to Bob and Carl. That 3rd and goal at the 2 play where they try to run it. They actually run a couple of pullers on one of those plays to the left-hand side to Singletary.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson gets off the ball so quickly on that play, Andrew Thomas can't reach block him. And he just completely blows up the play. And then you get the 4th and goal at the 6. And here's the thing. Normally, normal team, I might kick the field goal there. Here's the problem. I've seen this defense give up a touchdown late when you can't give up a touchdown late to lose the game so many times this year. I was okay trying to go for the score there to finish the game.
Yeah. Well, look, on a macro level, the fourth quarter production for the Giants offensively, that's been one of the reasons why they're losing these games. Because when you have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and your offense goes out there, you should be able to run your 4-minute offense and never put your defense back out on the field. So by having that closing ability, like Enter Sandman, the song comes on, Mariano Rivera comes storming in, and you close it out. And they have not been able to do that. So this has been an issue all season long. But to your point, you've got a 3-point lead. You lose 4 yards on that 3rd down play.
It's brutal.
And now it's like there are 2 schools of thought here. Okay, hey, I like the aggressiveness. Okay, let's talk about that side of it. Mike Kafka said, I'm going to be aggressive. And look, why not? You've got 2 wins. You have nothing to lose here by being aggressive and going for it. But there is a difference between being aggressive and being reckless. 4th and goal from the 2, I'm all in. Go for it. And you know what? You don't get it. Now they're on the 2-yard line or the 1-yard line. Like, I get it. And I think everybody would have been more at ease with that decision. 4th and goal on the 6 is a totally different can of worms.
I agree with your reasoning.
That is different, especially, what did you say? The Giants have struggled in the red zone offensively all year. That is not, if we were the second best red zone offense in the league, I think the statistics are in your favor.
Yeah,
and now it's, you know what? We're going to go for it.
4th and goal at the 6, you take the run out of the equation, which is what makes it so tough.
So now you're one-dimensional. Everybody knows you're throwing it. And you know what? We don't have a guy that, you know what? We got man coverage over there. We got a mismatch. Like, who on our team right now would you say, man coverage, I'm throwing it to him, and 90% of the time it's going to be a touchdown?
No,
like, we don't have that. I watched the Rams the other night.
When
they get in the red zone, Devontae Adams, I mean, he's running by people, and Matthew Stafford is dropping buckets in the back of the end zone.
Cheat code. He's a cheat code.
Yeah, it's like we don't have that guy. So I feel like in that moment, if you kick the field goal, now you are forcing Detroit to have to score. They have to score a touchdown. They can't just take all the time off the clock. They can't methodically march down the field and put themselves in position to kick a field goal. We've seen that before. We saw it in Dallas. We saw it in Detroit. Like, that would have taken that off the table. And now you force them into being one-dimensional offensively, because now they have to throw the ball. They've got to find a way to get in the end zone. And I think that would have changed the way that Detroit ran their last possession.
I agree.
At the end of that game.
I agree it would have as well. But I will add this. Did you have any confidence if the Giants kicked the field goal there that they would have been able to stop the Lions from scoring a touchdown?
I had more confidence in them not giving up a touchdown than I did if we don't get it. Are we going to be able to stop them from kicking a field goal?
I agree with that too. But
if it was hey, they got to go down and score a touchdown, or hey, they got to get to the 35-yard line and to get in field goal range, I would have said, give me the defense holds them out. Maybe you get a lucky play, maybe a tip ball, maybe a sack. I don't know. But
I think the lines
changes things.
The lines would have been more aggressive, though, I think, if they knew they needed a touchdown.
And it would have changed some of their play call,
Correct.
which, you know what, who knows what could happen.
Yeah,
but,
no one
those are all the things that you got to make, and you got to make them. You know, I think you have a mindset going into the game, because you've only got 30 seconds to make that decision. Really, probably less than that.
Correct.
So you go into the game like, here's what I'm going to do. If we have a chance to go for the win, I'm going for the jugular, and I'm going to do it throughout. And that my mind is made up before that decision even comes to.
Well, my guess
into your hand
is that he's sitting there at 3rd and 2. He's all right, 4th and goal on the 2. If we don't get it here, I'm going to go for it again.
Right.
But then you have to compute what that -4 on 3rd down does for you. Not even 30 seconds, Sean. You have what? 10 seconds?
Yeah, I think
when
they got down to the 4-yard line, right? So it was 1st and goal at the 4.
I think he's already thinking, I'm just trying to score a touchdown.
Yeah, they run the ball there, get 2 yards from Tracy. Now it's 2nd and goal at the 2. And at this point, you're saying, if I have to go for it on 4th down, I'm going for it.
Correct.
And then you lose 4 yards. So now instead of it being 4th and 2, it's 4th and 6. That, I think, is where you got to just say, you know what? I wanted to go for this, but I got to take the points.
And again, normally, Sean, I would absolutely agree with you. Maybe I have been scarred by what I've seen this year, and that's why maybe it's swaying me too much.
But I think
I wanted to give the offense had been the best part of my team that day.
Yeah.
They had got you to where you were going to go. You have 500 yards of total offense in the game. I have more confidence in my offense being able to close that game out than my defense.
Yeah, and I think you're looking at it like we have a chance to slam the door here.
It was game over if you score there. It's game over.
We score a touchdown. That's it. Like, and if that happened,
even the Giants would have figured out a way to lose that one.
If they found a way to score in that moment, I mean, I think Mike Kafka, everybody's praising him right now for having the stones to do that. So, it's one of those live by the sword, die by the sword situations. And, I think in his, to Mike Kafka, like in his situation, it's like, no, we're going for it. Like, I'm not going to play conservative. I'm not going to.
I think the players like that too, right?
I think they respected it, and I think the tough thing with that whole situation is the loss of 4 yards on 3rd down was killer.
It was.
That just crushed everything.
And again, Aiden Hutchinson just got off. I don't know if you watched that back yet, but the way he gets off the ball on that play, watch it. He is in the backfield before the offensive line even moves. That's how quick he is back there.
It felt like they didn't say Hutchinson's name the entire game until that play and the sack at the end, really. I mean, he was a non-factor.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the Giants did a good job chipping him with tight ends and double teaming and running back and stuff like that. So they helped. All right, final question before we get to the call, Sean. Shane Bowen has one extra day this week with the Monday night game against the Patriots. Then he has a bye week.
You mean Charlie?
What did I say, Shane?
Yeah.
I said Shane Bowen.
Charlie
Bullen, pardon me. Charlie Bullen has one extra day this week and the bye week next week. He has some time to put his own little twist on the defense. You're not going to have a completely new scheme. You're not going to have a completely new approach. You cannot do this at this point of the year. What are 1 or 2 or 3 small tweaks or twists you would like for him to put into the scheme that you think could help this defense just be a little bit better down the stretch?
Yeah, good question. Look, I don't think he's going to reinvent the wheel, because the last thing you want to do is start putting in all these different schemes or packages where guys aren't used to the run fits, and now you're giving up a big run. One of the things that I feel like has showed up time and time again this season is we are stunting the defensive line a lot. And on that run in overtime, that Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run, we slanted the entire D-line away from the tight end. They were stunting weak. So everybody was like, where's Dexter Lawrence? Why isn't Dexter Lawrence out there? That wouldn't have mattered. Because guess what? Davidson was in there for Dexter Lawrence. And you know what he did? He was lined up over the center. He slanted to the left.
And by the way,
run went to the right.
And the reason they slanted left, because I believe they had Holland run blitzing away from the slant. So he was filling away from where the guys were slanting.
Yeah, he was coming down,
Correct.
But they kind of got caught, like, because he didn't really blitz.
I could show it to you right now.
And I feel like that slant, those situations, you're giving up an opportunity for a big run. If you slant the entire defensive line away from where you're running it, now all of a sudden you're asking a safety to come down. He has to defend more space because the defensive line now has slanted. So I think that may be something that we see a little bit different. I think, just kind of looking at on third down, I thought we would be a lot more creative with some of the packages. We talked about it in preseason, and hey, well, we got Abdul Carter, we got Burns. Thibodeau's been out obviously, so that changes things.
Yeah, the problem is I see you got Holland run
Holland
blitzes
didn't
and
really,
the wide receiver picks him right up.
Yeah, and see how Okereke jumps around Sewell, but Dane Belton should be kind of coming down. It opened up right down the middle.
You're right.
So
I didn't realize
that
the whole line is slanting.
Whole line slanted.
Yeah.
So if Dexter Lawrence is in there, he's slanting away from the run. Like, we slanted kind of right into our hands.
Does Phillips have to be a little bit quicker?
Absolutely.
To
He's
fill
got to
that
be more
gap?
aggressive.
Yeah.
You got to go attack that guy, and you got to shrink those running lanes. And there's way too much room for Gibbs on that. So I think, obviously first and second down, I think you got to do a better job.
More
of
building of
getting
a wall,
getting the
less
safeties
movement.
down there. Maybe you don't have them so deep to start, so they can get down in the box quicker, and it gives them better angles to make the tackles. But I think on third down, I thought we would be a little more exotic. I thought we would see a little more fronts with, hey, Abdul Carter or Brian Burns moving around. We saw more of that earlier on in the season. I feel like we've kind of gotten away from that because a guy like Burns,
I think with Thibodeau being out the
move him
last 2
around.
weeks, it's hurt it a little bit because you don't have him on the edge.
But you know what, Robertson, Harris, like you can move him out at defensive end. You can put him in Burns' spot and then now move Burns around and just kind of make some different angles for him, create some different attack points for him, and even for Abdul Carter. But I think one of the biggest challenges that I mentioned is like Micah McFadden going down. We have not found an avid replacement for him. And when you're a nickel, I used to love, when I'd be standing in the huddle and I'm watching the personnel and I'm telling Eli, hey, they're in base defense, base 3-4, base 3-4. As soon as they went nickel, I'm like, yes. Hey, Eli, we have a 6-man box. We're running the ball. Because we got their lighter linebacker. We got a linebacker off, and we got now a nickel slot corner that's in there that's going to be trying to stop the run.
That's why those big nickels like Kyle Hamilton, Eminwari on Seattle, they could do both. That's what makes those guys so valuable.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, maybe Dane Belton needs to be more of that nickel guy. And he's more physical. He's more of a thumper, more of a downhill guy.
And you need Newbin back to do that, by the way.
Yeah, Newbin being out with a neck. I mean, look, Newbin was out. Adebo was out. Tate Banks was out. So
Newbin and Adebo kills the whole secondary. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing shorthanded almost.
Because you have to help
You're
Corey
kinda
Black.
handcuffed.
You can't leave Corey Black out there on island. You can't.
Yeah,
It's
Corey
not fair
Black-
to him. He's a rookie 6th-round pick.
And Corey doesn't know how to tackle yet. Like he comes in and slaps at the ball and punches at it. He's not coming in like trying to take somebody out. Like so, it's it's a different mindset with that.
He did not have a good tackle attempt on that first touchdown run.
No, he looked like he was an old lady swatting somebody with the purse. So he's got to, but he's a rookie, and you know what? He's been thrust into some action, and I know he's been playing banged up and playing hurt, but I don't think it's, Charlie Bullen's going to come in here and completely change the scheme and do all this stuff, but there will be some wrinkles. I think you mentioned the pressure. Look, first and second down, there are ways to create some pressure without giving up the farm. And, I think that's going to be something where, look, you've got an advantage because you're playing the Patriots, like you said, you got an extra day, but they have not seen what you're going to do. So you get to roll out some things that they don't have on film, and the surprise factor is there, at least in the first quarter.
And their 2 rookie offensive linemen got hurt in that game, by the way. Jared Wilson got hurt, and their rookie offensive tackle from LSU, the name's Williams, got hurt in that game.
So
Campbell.
diving too much into the Patriots. Everybody's saying Drake May MVP. He's leading the NFL in passing yards. At least he was before that Sunday night game. So I'm not sure if that changed any of that, but he doesn't have a 300-yard game this season. He's not thrown for 300 yards one time.
Oh, they don't have great weapons.
So, no, Stephon Diggs is their leading receiver, and Hunter Henry is their second leading receiver. Now, he's been phenomenal. He's got, I think, 5 touchdowns. He's kind of been their go-to guy in the red zone. Travion Henderson is, he's a downhill runner. So, again, we got another tough running back. Drake May has been sacked 37 times, which is second most in the league. That's something that
he will hold the ball.
You would not have thought, given how productive they are and the fact that they're 10-2. So, that, to me, plays right into Charlie Ball's hands. Like, okay, this guy's eating the ball a lot. He's burping the baby. We got to get pressure. This is a chance for our defense to eat up front. And I think that's got to be first and foremost. When it's third down, we got to make this guy think. We got to get him off a spot, get him uncomfortable. And I think that's the best way to try to get a win in Foxborough.
And look, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. To me, though, eventually your best players got to win one-on-one when they get one-on-ones. And the Giants' best defense, other than Brian Burns, who has been great all year, he did miss it. He failed to bring Goff down on a sack last week.
I tell you what, 9 times out of 10 he makes that play.
He does, and he's made those plays all year. So this is not me taking a shot at Brian Burns.
They were chipping the heck out of him. There were a couple plays where Penei Sewell kick slide. And he's like waiting for Burns to get to him, because Burns is like 10 yards out.
Yeah, because there's a tight end is getting.
And he's like, "Are you gonna come and rush, or what are you doing?"
No, you're exactly right. And eventually the other guys have to start making more plays up front where you've spent a lot of your resources. So, the Dexter Lawrence thing, I know I promised I'll get to your calls, and I will. But we should touch on the Dexter thing because that was made a big deal last night. When all was said and done, I believe, and I will double check it right now, how many plays he ended up playing in this game, Dexter Lawrence. So the Giants on defense ran 69 plays. Dexter Lawrence played 36 of them, so a little bit over 50% of those plays. That includes plays that got called back due to penalties, so the numbers on the play-by-play might be a little bit different. But you could tell, especially in the second half, that they were trying to manage his snaps. Now, they said after the game, which we didn't know while the game was going on, that he got nicked up, and they were just trying to get the most out of him. I also think, Sean, that was as effective as I've seen Dexter in the fourth quarter of a game. And I wonder it's because he played, instead of playing 70% of the snaps, he was closer to 50% of the snaps. So he just had more left in him at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that new term that we're all coming to grips with, load management, right? And I think that has infiltrated the NBA more than the NFL.
Yes.
But I knew you'd get that because you're a Nick diehard. I think that there's definitely something to that. And also, Nunez Roches had a phenomenal sack in this game, and Darius Alexander had 2 sacks in this game. Guess what happens? Like, you're used to leaning on Dexter. Dexter's like, this big, heavy mammoth. Then all of a sudden, boom, these quick guys, shifty guys come in, and now all of a sudden it's a change of pace. So, I think it's kind of, there's 2 elements to that. Like, you're keeping Dexter fresh, and then you're also kind of getting some of these quick guys in there, which gives the offensive line a little bit of a different look. But, I thought Dexter, in the fourth quarter there was a couple of big hustle plays. He was involved in it.
A couple pressures, too.
The sack that Darius Alexander got was because Dexter's pressure actually forced Goff out right into his arm. So Dexter almost had the sack on that play as well. And, I think Dexter, I didn't see a play where he got nicked up, so I don't know if it was, obviously he hurt his elbow last year. I don't know if it was an upper body thing or.
Well, we'll know on Wednesday. If he ends up being limited on practice on Wednesday, they have to list the body part. So we'll find out then.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, Dex is, look, he's a big dude. He is massive. So, he normally, he plays a lot. So I think, at this time of year, if they're trying to, if taking him out for a couple of series or giving him a couple blows early on in the game, second, third quarter, if all of a sudden that gives him a little extra juice in the fourth quarter, I think that's a smart move.
And he has been better rushing the passer than stopping the run this year. So if you're going to pick and choose when to have him in the game, I understand why you would choose to play him more in those passing situations. All right, 201-939-4513. Sorry, folks, we had a lot to talk about here. We wanted to make sure we get to it. We started 5 minutes late, so we'll go by 5 minutes long on the show today as we take calls with Shaun O'Hara talking Giants, Lions, and the Giants going with Charlie Bowen as their new defensive coordinator for the remainder of the season. We're going to lead things off with, let's go Antonio in Delaware first, Johnny Mac. Antonio, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good, Antonio. What do you got?
2 points. One regarding the defense and one regarding the offense. To me, this is still a with Martindale defense. And you had Shane Bowen in there for 2 years. Wink was an attacking defense. Bowen was a bang but don't break defense. So you have a change of 2 philosophies that doesn't work with the players.
No, but Antonio, here's the thing. Antonio, real quick though, if you look at the 11 starters on defense, the last year Shane Bowen, last year when Martindale was here compared to now, I believe there are 2 players that overlap: Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Bobby Okereke. So there should be 3. Yeah. So there are 3 guys that overlap. If you want to count Nacho in there, or 4, that's fine. They've changed out the corners with Flott, who's playing his best ball, by the way, this year. Adebo, Holland, Newbin. There. Yeah, but he's not really playing.
He was
now.
a rookie.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He's now the 3rd corner. Brian Burns is new. He was never here with Mick Martindale. Abdul Carter's new. He was not here with Mick Martindale. Roy Robertson Harris, Holland. So they have a lot of new players, Antonio. It's not the same group of guys that was here the last year Wink was here. They've really redone the defense, to be honest with you.
Right, point taken. But to me, these players were more attacking than just sit back and react. You know, like the corners, they are more get in your face type of corners instead of playing off 5 and 10 yards.
They weren't playing off against the Lions.
Right, I know that, right. So to me, his 2 best games was the Eagles, where he was attacking more, and the Lions, where he was attacking more. But the other games, he kind of just sat back and let the offense dictate to them, and I think that was where the problem lied, with more him not attacking more.
Yeah, the way this defense was built, Antonio, was to get home with 4 guys so you can protect your secondary a little bit. That's how the defense was designed in terms of personnel and the way Bowen, frankly, worked his defense in Tennessee.
Okay, and my second point is, isn't this crazy, but the Giants' offense in total offense is ranked higher than the Philadelphia's offense in total offense, and yet still we have a losing record and the Eagles have a winning record.
All right, Antonio, appreciate the call. But look, I mean, Philadelphia offense stinks. I mean, I don't want to be too direct about it. I mean, the Eagles right now, I'm looking at where
we beat them. I don't know where they are, but like the thing I would look at first with comparison to the Eagles is when they get in the red zone, like they punch it in.
They're the only team that's perfect in goal-to-go situations this year.
Right, so there you go. That's the difference. They're not kicking field goals.
They are 24th in the league at 303 yards per game.
If you're in fantasy football, all right, you're not taking Jake Elliott as your kicker because you know that they're not kicking. They're going for it. They've got the tush-push thing going on, and basically once they get down to the 4-yard line, they're running it in. Like they're finding a way. So that is why you look at the stats, and the stats you're referring to are yards.
Yep.
I think it's great. I think it's great that the Giants' offense is this explosive and is that high up offensively, because I don't think anybody thought that would be the case coming into the season. But
right now they're ranked 11th.
Our red zone offense is ranked what?
Red zone offense is 29th.
Right. So
47%.
So we're the 4th worst red zone offense in the league. So that right there is the direct correlation to the wins and loss record and why it's 2-10.
Yeah, and if you look at points, if we're 11th in yards, we are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is great radio. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think 21st on my quick little look here at 22 points per game. So it shows the difference. You're not scoring the touchdowns when you need them.
Yeah, it's red zone. And, look, also, you go down there and, you go for it on 4th down, and you don't get it. So now you come away with 0 points. So
Goal
it's
to
not
go.
even. It's not even. Hey, we had to settle for the field goal. We walked away with 0 points. That really hurts you.
Goal to go, by the way, 31st. The Giants have scored touchdowns, Sean. What percentage of the Giants' goal to go situation do you think they've scored touchdowns on?
20%.
Oh, God, no, it's not that bad.
No.
55%.
55%.
It's 55%, which is the
Well,
worst.
you're saying score. You're saying touchdowns, or you're saying touchdowns or field goals?
Touchdown, just touchdowns.
Okay.
So the Giants are at 55%. The only team worse, oh my gosh, are the Saints, who have the worst goal to go percentage I've ever seen in my life at 31%.
Wow.
Touchdown rate, which
Yeah.
is just brutal. And by the way, the Texans are next to last at third to last, 30%. The Jets are 63%. And then the Chiefs and the Cowboys are at 64%.
Who are the top three in that category?
Well, obviously the Eagles are one. The only team that's left that's 100%. The Colts, who are 95%, and the Packers that are 94%. Three powerful running backs and running games.
Yeah.
With those three teams. So
Yeah, you got to run it in the red zone when you get down there. You got to find a way.
yeah, and look, I think, to Antonio's point, I think you might see some more pressure. Again, Charlie Bolin, I made the point earlier, he came from working under Flores in Miami. And then he worked under Vance Joseph in Arizona. Two guys that do bring pressure. So we'll see if they do a little bit more. But again, I worry about that secondary, Sean, with all those injuries holding up if you do bring a lot of pressure. So we'll have to wait and see how they handle that. Scott, New Mexico. What's up, Scott? That's line 2, Johnny Mac. Scott, what's up?
Hi, guys. It was a great analysis by both of you. I happen to agree with you, Sean, in regards to that specific play, in regard to this, when the score was 27-24, and they should have gone for the field goal. Analytics say that you could have done either. Maybe we're getting too much ensconced with listening to analytics instead of listening to what I think are the smart plays to do. That's an argument for another time. Right now, right after Mike Kafka's press conference, he said he had the ultimate faith in Shane Bowen, and of course, next day he's fired. And my question really is this, although your analysis, both of yours, was great on the game, 2 years from today, no one's going to care. The reason being, this is a zero-sum game. It's about wins and losses. This is the first team eliminated out of the playoffs, and the mandate is, let's get into the playoffs with a possibility of getting into a Super Bowl and winning it. And that's your job when the season starts. And the Giants have failed. Doesn't matter how close the games are because they've shown the ability that they can't play 4 quarters.
No, Scott, I hear what you're saying, but you have to analyze the game in detail because if you don't figure out why they're losing the games, you can't solve the problems. Right, Sean?
I agree.
Right.
But the problem to me is obvious in that they can't stop the run. Didn't Detroit have over close to 230 yards, I think, of rushing offense?
Yeah, and look,
and
Scott, we're not going to argue that run defense has been a problem all year.
Right, and it seems obvious. But my question goes beyond that. When you're looking for a new head coach, and I happen to like Mike Kafka, what are the elements that you're going to look for? Where are you going to find the Sean Paytons or the Sean McVays or the Sean McDermott? Well, maybe we just need to have somebody named Sean as the coach, so Sean, maybe you should apply for the job.
Easy fix.
But the real key is, are we going to get the head coach we need to really redevelop that defense and still have the ability to deal with the Jackson Dart? Because obviously you want to have a coach that can work with somebody like that as he evolves in the NFL. So I'm going to take this off the air, but what are the characteristics you really look for in a head coach that might stymie some of the things that went on this season and have gone on for the last 2 or 3 years? And what would you be looking for, both of you, because you're both great analytical people and know a little bit more about the football scenarios that exist in the NFL? What are the keys you're looking for in an NFL coach for next year?
Thanks, Scott.
And I'll take the question off the air.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. We appreciate you calling in and chiming in. I think anytime you're looking at a head coach, he has to be a coach that makes his team accountable. And I think that's first and foremost. Players have to be accountable.
To a high standard.
And it's everything. It's not just on the field. It's everything you do. You've got to be accountable to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. And if I can't, how you are in the weight room and how you are in meetings and how you are outside of the building is how you are on game day. Like everything you do matters. So I think that's paramount whenever you're looking at a head coach, because the reality is, as a head coach, you don't have a position group. Like you're not working as much with the X's and O's as an offensive coordinator is or a defensive coordinator is. So you're kind of, you have to kind of set the tempo, set the, you're like the disciplinarian, and you kind of set the mood and set the accountability factor for everybody. And coaches, I think, have to be accountable too. And, I think every good head coach will come up and say, look, I made some mistakes. There's some things that I got to do better. But I think that's always first and foremost. I think anytime you're looking at, hey, we're going to have a head coach that's going to come in and interview. Look, he's selling himself, and you're looking at him as a head coach, but you're also looking at the staff that he's bringing with him. Like, what kind of scheme are you going to run offensively? And what kind of offensive coordinator are you bringing? Is it a run-first offense? How are you going to handle the NFC East defensively? What's your scheme? What's your mindset? So when you come in to interview for that, you got to have those two guys in mind. Here's the staff that I'm bringing with me, because you're hiring that head coach based on who he's bringing with him. You don't hire a head coach and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, now that you have the job, let's see who you're bringing with you. Like, they got to come ready. You better come with a bunch of resumes. These guys are on board, and this is who I'm bringing with me. This is my army of coaches that are going to implement everything that I'm trying to execute as a head coach. I think those are things that you're looking for. You need somebody that's detail-oriented, that has a philosophy with how, obviously, you want to run the team. And, it's not always, hey, here's how we're going to do things. And that sounds great. What happens when it's not going well? How are you handling a 3-game road loss? How are you handling, a couple of tough weeks? What kind of coach are you when that happens?
We saw Ben McAdoo. It looked great in 2016 when they were winning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden things went bad and it fell off the rails real quick.
You're looking at that as your coaches and your players too. It's like, hey, look, everybody, when you're winning games, everything's honky-dory and everybody's hugging and high-fiving and it's great. But when things are going bad, what is your track record? How have you handled that? What kind of coach do you become? Do you change then? Are you malleable with the environment that's around you? So, those are all characteristics. We could sit here and list them all, but this is no doubt going to be something that, there's going to be no stone unturned with that. But, it's paramount that you find the right guy, and it's tough. You look around the league, there's 5 coaches that get fired every year. And then every year you see teams that say, hey, you know what, we got to go pluck this guy from this team. Look at Detroit. They lost both their offensive and defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn's with the Jets, and things don't look great right now for him as his first-time head coach. Ben Johnson in Chicago, they didn't start out great, but, things have gotten better for him. So, everybody's looking for that new younger guy that's got some swagger to him and is chomping at the bit. But I don't know if the Giants have that luxury. I don't know if they can swing and miss on a first-time head coach again like that. Like, they don't have that kind of patience with the fan base at the moment.
Yeah, I'll add a couple things because I think you're right on, Shaun. There's a chance the head coach might be able to take care of one of those sides of the ball. You know what I mean? Like Mike McDonald comes into Seattle, you're good on defense.
Right.
You don't have to worry about the defensive coordinator. He's going to call the defense. You'll be fine. All right? But then what does the other side of the ball look like? So you look at, if you're hiring a guy that's a specialist on one side of the ball, what is he doing on the other side of the ball? Especially if you're hiring a defensive-minded coach. What's your plan for Jackson Dart?
Right.
Which is the most important player piece of your future as a franchise. That has to be set. And I know it's very easy to say, oh, just pick the best leader of men. If it was easy to pick the best leader of men, everyone would do that.
Right.
You don't know, as a coordinator, how do you know what he's going to be like in front of a room? To your point, how are you going to know what he's like when things go bad and he has to deal with controversy? You don't know that. So I'm looking for that. How do you handle both sides of the ball?
Can I just add one thing real quick? So what I always found ironic was there were times where, as a player, I played with a coach, and he was an offensive coordinator or a position coach, and he was awesome. Like, players loved him. They were like, man, he's the best. He's going to be a great head coach. He was a total jerk. He became a head coach. He was
right.
He totally changed, and it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, everybody loved you when you were this guy. Like, why now all of a sudden you're this gunny highway, and now you changed. Like, people hate you. They don't like you. So, there are people that think that now that I'm a head coach, I got to be this drill sergeant, and I got to crack the whip.
Now, do you go with a more experienced guy, like a Mike McCarthy type, right? Because he knows how to run a program, settle things down. And I think I said this to you before, The Giants need to hire their Tom Thibodeau, a guy that knows how to settle the program, get everything set, and roll with it. But I'll say this. I do, Sean, want a specific type of offense here. You go around the NFL and you look at the best offenses in the league, and consistently they have certain things in common. They're able to use their personnel to manipulate defenses, whether it's using multiple tight ends to get base defense on the field, then you pass out of that, or using small personnel to get defensive backs on the field, then you run into it. And they have an offense that has their pass game working off of their run game. They're very connected. You don't know what they're doing on any given play. It creates an indecision with the defense. That's very important. And Sean, who's your offensive line coach?
Yeah.
We've been through a long period of time here where the Giants have not gotten that right. Okay? But Carmen Basillo has been great this year.
Yeah.
And I would love to keep him around if I could. So who's my offensive line coach? That's important. But I do specifically, and look, I'm open on defense. Like Mike McDonald never blitzes. He never blitzes, right? But that works really well with Seattle.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I like Carm too.
All right, I'm going to take a call. Sean has to go run real quick. He's going to be back.
I'll be right back.
Yes,
1 second.
he'll be right back. I'm going to go to a call here. But there are different ways to skin the cat on defense in terms of how you set things up. So to me, I'm more concerned of getting that offense the way you want. I'll slide over the middle here, Johnny Mac, a little bit. Sean will be right back. Don't worry. He has to take care of some business. Let's go to Rich in Virginia. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Rich, what's going on, man?
John, back in Virginia, happy Thanksgiving to you and
you too,
the crew.
sir.
You guys rock. We've been around for forever, since '61, and suffered through many a year. And the fan base, I know, speaking for them because I know them, are extremely frustrated. But I think there's some really positives that are coming out of this year. I'd like to talk about them.
Sure, go ahead.
So just want to name some players here. First of all, offensive line, you guys talked about that. I agree with you with Carmen Basillo. Tremendous improvement. Remember in the last few years, you'd have people running right through untouched to the quarterback.
Yeah.
There would be a million tackles for loss and run plays. That doesn't happen. So kudos to those guys. Cordell Flott. We have our number 2 cornerback there. If Debo ever gets healthy, we have 2 decent cornerbacks. We need some depth there. Theo. I mean, he has just flashed in the last few games. No more drops. He's made some incredible catches on the sideline. Jackson and Winston and Scattable, they give this team juice. They're leaders, and any organization needs people in those personalities. I completely misevaluated Jameis. He's played really well, and his personality is infectious. Same as Scattable.
Now remember, Jameis has flashed stuff like this before. Unfortunately, eventually bad Jameis shows up. Bad Jameis has not shown up yet, but his history tells you that he will eventually. He just hasn't quite yet.
Well, but he's a backup here, John.
No, that's
He's
true.
not the
No,
starter.
absolutely, 100%. Yes, no, you're right about that. As a backup, he's phenomenal. I agree with you.
And perfect, because we need a backup. And the thing about him, contractually, his contract's only $8 million for 2 years. That is a steal. So, and then we got Wandell, who I really hope we re-sign. So, and on the defense, they don't have a person like that with juice. They need that. And you guys have already discussed it, but we all are just so frustrated with this run defense. They really, really miss McFadden. And you guys have already said the back 7 that they put out there yesterday, they can't tackle. They just cannot tackle. And you look who's out there. I mean, you got somebody named Bozeman out there as a linebacker. I mean, my gosh, he's doing the best he can, but they're just so depleted because of injuries. But that's where Joe Shane really, and I know he's tried. They need more depth. They definitely need another slot corner, another corner, and I think if with the ifs of history, if those 5 fourth quarter leads, if we didn't give up those leads, they'd be 7-5.
No, look,
I mean, so I'm thinking that even though it's so frustrating, it's so frustrating. But I think for next year, barring injuries, we got free agency and the draft. I think that, and the schedule can't be any harder than this year. I'm thinking needle is pointing up.
Richie, appreciate the call, man. How you doing, Sean?
Great. Lo siento, mi amigo.
Okay, perfect. I think for now on, I'm gonna have to treat you like I do my 8-year-old. Before she puts on the snowsuit to go outside.
Too much coffee. Well, I got jammed up as we started the show off. the totem pole came back to bite me. I like the positivity from Rich, though.
Yeah, look, there are, and that's the frustrating thing, Sean. I want to make sure we get to these last calls. I don't want to go too late because we all have to go do our things. But that's why this season is so annoying. Last couple of years, there's been games where they're all before they started. They had no shot, but they've been in all these games. They've been competitive. You've seen what could be if they could just close out some of these games. But it sucks. It's no good.
The fact that we have been winning, we've been up big on some of these games. We were up 19 points, I think, right, in Denver. Those are games that you just you're befuddled at the fact that you could fumble that away. So it's they're excruciating losses because like you said, if you get blown out by 20 points, you're like, all right, you know what, we're not at that level. We're not even in that same ballpark as that team. We're right there, and it's frustrating.
Giants are now 1-5 in one-score games, so that kind of sums up.
Yeah, and we beat the Chargers. They were like the second best team in the AFC coming in.
And the Eagles, who have been the best team in the NFC.
The Eagles, defending Super Bowl champs, and we should have beat Denver. Should have beat Dallas.
Should have beat Chicago.
Frustrating.
Who's in first place in the NFC North. That's why we are.
That's why we
are.
drink.
And I have to leave it in the middle of the show, apparently. Let's go to Rod in South Carolina. He's up next. Rod, what's going on?
Hi.
Hi.
Really nice to talk to you guys. I've never been able to get through, so thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks for calling, Ron.
Sure. The reason I'm calling, I wanted to talk about coaching in general and why coaches get fired and hired. Now, I've been a fan since 1978, and I've probably seen hundreds of coaches get fired. And one thing I've always heard from players and analysts who kind of know what they're talking about, they kind of say that, they lose the players after a while. After a while, their message doesn't get through. And I'm wondering maybe if you guys have an opinion, maybe that's what was happening with Bowen. They just got tired of losing, and the message sort of goes in one ear and out the other.
I mean, he hasn't been here that long, Ron. That's the only thing. It's only his second year, so I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Sean would have a better opinion on this than me.
I don't know that I can generalize all of the firings under that same umbrella because I don't even feel like all right, when Joe Judge when he was let go, I think you could say, man, it felt like he lost the locker room. The locker room felt fractured.
And I think at the end of Pat Shurmur, it kind of felt that way.
Same
too.
thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't feel that way with Dable.
Neither did I.
I did not feel that way defensively from these players with Shane Bowen.
Okay.
So I don't think it was, hey, look, the message is not getting through. They're not listening to him. Because I guarantee you that they've been coached on how to defend some of these run plays, and they're just not executing it. So, you make the change hoping that there is a little bit of a spark. And you know what? A new coach may be coming in, Charlie Bowen. He may be saying the same things that Shane Bowen has said. Maybe it's packaged differently or presented differently, and so maybe it's heard differently. But I don't think it's anything different than what Shane Bowen is saying. But, sometimes, something like that happens, and you know what? It wakes people up. Hey, you know what? This is a business, and you know what? When somebody gets fired, all of a sudden now, everybody kind of, you've got their attention, and so maybe now they're a little more receptive to certain things. That's why you end up making a change. As a player, I hated it. I didn't like coaches getting fired because, I felt like it wasn't their fault. It was us. We let them down as players, and now he's falling on the sword and he's getting the axe, and it's not his fault. And there is a part of you that feels like, man, you know what? I got to go out and I got to ball out for him in his honor because we let him down. So I feel like you see it every year in the NFL. A coach gets fired, the interim coach, the next game they win. And it's like, hey, there's nothing, what was new? What was magical? Well, you know what? We stopped serving cheeseburgers and now we went hot dogs. I mean, what are we talking about here? It's like, if you're a golfer and you've got a case of the shanks, or you have the hiccups, everybody's got a cure for it. Stand on one foot and pull both your ears. That's how you get rid of hiccups. Yeah, who knows? That part of it, I just think at some point, there's change for the sake of making change. And sometimes it has a great effect. But the one thing that I feel like a lot of teams and owners, they're like, I can't do nothing. So I have to do something. And this is the something.
And that's the only thing you can do in the middle of the year. You can't change all your players.
Yeah. I mean, once the trade deadline happened, you could trade players. We've seen teams do that. Just kind of, hey, you know what, just start shipping guys out. And that sends a message too. But, in the end, things like this are inevitable when you're 2-10.
Okay, I understand. And Shaun, if I could, I want to thank you for one thing. My nephew was at the stadium one day, and you took a picture with him, and it was the thrill of his life. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Thanks for sharing that, man. Awesome. Happy to do it, and it was an honor.
You must have caught him on the right day, because usually he just stiff arms past all the kids as they try to take pictures with him.
I love mushing
Trucks
kids.
them, knocks them
Not
over.
now, damn it. Everybody on the bus, good, great, grand. No yelling on the bus.
Let's wrap things up with our buddy Len in Columbia, Maryland. Len, what's going on? Did he drop off, Johnny Mac? Yeah. Okay, so
we lost Lenny.
Do we got Len? Len, you there, pal?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got, man?
Yeah. Hey, I got a note to myself that says, stay positive. I'll start out with Happy Thanksgiving.
Now, Len, I think my question for you, has that note been in front of you for like 7 straight weeks? Is it the same note? Do you rewrite the note every week? How does that work?
Yeah. Is it a cocktail napkin?
I got a little history,
is it
but
like
we don't need to go over it now.
Sharpie?
Did you is it taped together?
Hey, a couple of quick hits before I get to a main point. The tying field goal, 2 things. If the kick had been from 45 yards, you probably would have missed it.
He had that late curve on it, right? Yeah. I know.
Oh, boy. Okay. And secondly, Dexter had a great rush on that. If you look at it from the coach's tape, he had a great rush coming at the kicker. I thought he was going to block it. He got held on that play. If you get a chance to watch it over
I'll watch
again,
it again.
Take a look at that.
I'll look at it
I mean,
again.
the blocker had him around the head.
Let me see.
Had him around the neck.
Interesting, because
Terrible.
they only have him as one special team snap all game, so maybe
it must have been that one. All right, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah. Hey, Shaun, it's not unusual, to see guys line up offside, maybe every other game, but the same guy twice in one game. I mean, come on, Abdul. Stay on side, will you please? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous. What about on the choice? We won the flip
in overtime.
In overtime. And we chose, and I think the new rules lend itself toward this. That is, every team gets the ball. Each team gets the ball in overtime. And more teams are choosing to actually kick off. Remember how that was? Oh, my God, always the joke. You got to take the ball. But the new rules kind of lend itself to people kicking off.
I agree.
If we were gassed in any shape, manner, or form, or we had people nicked up and we needed a little more time, maybe we should have taken the ball on the kickoff instead of, on that overtime kickoff.
Yeah, Len, there is also an analytical argument that you should, and if you talk to the math people, they tell you it's not as big of an obvious thing to kick. I prefer to have the ball second because then you know what you need, and you can go for it on fourth down and stuff.
Well,
but their argument is that if you get the ball first, you have a chance to have the third possession, right? So if both teams kick field goals, there's probably not going to be a fourth possession in a 10-minute span, but you might get an extra possession if it's tied after the first 2. So that's why some people say, all right, maybe receiving first makes sense because if either neither team scores on their first drive or there's 2 field goals or whatever, you will get an extra possession when the other team won't. So that's kind of the counter-argument to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I was wondering, if there were mitigating circumstances in this particular case, I mean, they're, not being on the field or couldn't get on the field or whatever the right terminology is.
Right.
And if you were finding this, your defense was, a little tired from the previous drive, maybe you buy a little time with the defense. I guess that's where I was going with that. But let me get on to my main point, if I may.
13-play drive. I see it.
You got. Are you there, guys?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I was just looking at it. So the Lions had a 13-play drive in the fourth quarter. Then the Giants had a 3-play drive, and you had the commercial break after going into overtime. So the defense probably had clockwise about 10 minutes, I would say, probably to kind of get ready to go. It was close.
Yeah, you would think so. I think that's why a lot of people are wondering why Dexter wasn't on the field. The immediate thing was, why wasn't Dexter on the field?
No, I get it.
Okay. Let me get to my main point. 5 games to go. I know a lot of people pay attention to this, like lose them all or whatever. These 5 games are important to this organization. Oh, my goodness. There's invites to training camp pending. There's jobs on the line throughout the organization. I mean, you're on national TV once.
Well, Len, how does the interim head coach do? How does the rookie quarterback do? I mean, huge.
These are important. These are important games. We got to win these games. Listen. We could win all 5. We could win all 5, but we got to win some games, particularly those home games. I mean, I'm for playing your best players right up to the last second of that Cowboys game. In January, I mean, play your best, healthiest guys.
Yeah, and they will.
Len, I don't think anybody's questioning that at all. I think everybody's on board with that. And look, Mike Kafka, like he's got his dream right now. His dream right now.
Yeah.
He's a head coach, so he wants to win all these games.
There's a lot at stake here, but there's going to be a lot of people. You're going to get a lot of callers.
We will. Len's right.
Who are going to talk about? Who are going to talk about? What difference does it make? I think it makes a lot of difference.
I know Shaun does too. He's a player.
Let's win these games. Give them a plan, Shaun. Expect them to perform, and you hold them accountable. And make your decisions when the season's over. Hey, thanks for taking the call. Have a great day on Thursday, guys.
Thanks, Len. You too, man. Happy
There's a lot of big decisions in the offseason, Shaun. There's always big decisions. So much of the roster turns over every year. They have to make decisions on these guys, and they'll have to make those calls. I mean, these final 5 games are going to be important in a lot of different ways for the players and the rest of the organization.
Unfortunately, I've been on some teams like this. My rookie year in Cleveland, we started out 2-1, and we ended up 3-13 that year. And that last 5 weeks. Look, it was tough, and there were some veteran players that, were mailing it in or that tapped out, and that created opportunity for other players. But, when you're a player right now or a coach, look, you're fighting for your job, and whether you're under contract or not, there change is coming. So you're either going to be on board with the future, or they're going to find somebody else. So. Look, there's a lot to play for players and for coaches. I like what you said about winning at home. Like that to me, that was Dable's mission. This whole offseason was we got to win games at home, and it was coming off of the heels of a season where we won one home game against the Colts, which Giants fans were conflicted about at MetLife Stadium. That they won the game, but they lost the number 1 overall pick by winning that game. So, look, that's always banter. But in the locker room, look, like I'm going out there to play for him. Like I'm playing for my brother. Like I'm playing for the name on the back of the jersey as well as the decal on the helmet. So there's definitely a lot to play for. And look, for a lot of guys, maybe they don't have a contract with the Giants after this season. This is your audition. This is your chance to prove that you belong next year when we're rallying the troops.
And you aren't necessarily looking for a quarterback, so the draft position not as important. This is also not going to be a great top of the draft, so I don't think that's a big deal. And you're right, there are a lot of winnable games down the stretch. And look, the players are going to go out there and try to win these games. But Kafka's coaching for his future head coaching life. Charlie Bowen's going to be coaching for his future defensive coordinator life. All these guys are going to try to do everything they can to try to win.
It's a chance to compete. That's what you want.
That's what you always want. Shaun, this was fun, my man.
Thanks, Johnny.
Were you on TV postgame last night?
Yes.
Okay, so you did the rapid reaction with Madeline afterwards. So that is up on the Giants Huddle podcast, folks. Go check it out. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find all our content on Giants TV on any of your smart TVs. You can download it at the App Store or Google Play. And, of course, check out that Giants Huddle podcast. That's on our YouTube channels as well. For Shaun O'Hara, I'm John Schmeelk. That's Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. Coming to you from the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. For Shaun O'Hara, I'm John Schmeelk. Tomorrow, I believe it is you switched with Lance Wednesday. So tomorrow, I believe it is Datino Casillas and then Madeline Lance on Wednesday. Thursday, there's no show. Friday, it is Datino and Sitak. So that's your lineup for the week. Next week, we'll do shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we will take off for the bye, which is apparently coming during Christmas time because, well, why not? We'll see you then. Adios, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.